Hello everyone. Today we'll be continuing with the nutrition education, but in the previous episode we have studied about the definition of nutrition education and its importance and how to go about with nutrition education. Now we will in this episode we'll try to understand it in depth so that there are and we'll refer to some of the examples where theories and methodologies are there where nutrition education can be incorporated into the community or the layperson. So let us start with the nutrition education and theories and methods of this. So before that, I would like to just refresh your memories. Last episode, we have studied about nutrition education. We know that it focuses on enhancing the health quality of the individual and then the community. So it brings about a change in the individual or the community. So to bring about or to lead out and can be seen as a process that not only provides knowledge and information and skills but also fosters it for the development, growth and change in the individual or the community. Now this nutrition education is giving information, that is it is disseminating information. Then it will also help in bringing a conducive change in the behavior towards a positive, that is towards the health of the individual or the community. And also it focuses on the environmental change, which is very important in the community to bring about a change in both nutrition as well as the health of the individual. Now, this nutrition education can be attained with few general steps which are there. That is, before starting, we have to identify the place or the area and the problems that is prevailing in that area. Then we have to think about to how to go about with incorporating the information or positive messages to that particular area or the community, so to impart knowledge and change and the attitude of the individual or the community towards the positiveness of the health and nutrition. So for that we have to develop some strategies also, that is developing a effective educational strategies so that it brings about a complete change. And training by the educators, that is getting the change or training the people itself by the educators. So that is how you can utilize the sources which are there and then bring about a complete change. So those steps has to be undertaken in when you're formulating a nutrition education program to a community or the individual. Now the major activities that should be involved in nutrition education is, we have already learned, that is it creates awareness, enhances people for motive towards motivation, then action taking like knowledge, aptitude and practice, what we say, that will be undertaken. And so as a result there is an improvement in the environmental supports also. So that is how the nutrition education can be completed or the goals can be achieved. So you can just see the role of the nutrition education, wherein the public health nutrition is there, then health promotion is there, and nutrition education is also there. So we have to think about to bring about a change. As I said, area will be identified and the resources over there is also here will be identified. So resources are identified as nothing but it is the food availability which is there and the accessibility which is there. Then whatever the culture and the policies that is there in the system or in that area, those things also has to be taken into consideration. And the apart from that, what is the education or the awareness about the food and the nutrients and also their health concerns all put together will give us a strategy to form for bringing about a change, that is nutritional health concern strategies can be planned. So that is how nutrition education plays an important role. Now, just I gave an example of a particular case study which I just came across with that. So, as I said, before starting with any nutrition education, you should know why you want to have that nutrition education program. So, what is the purpose is very important for us over there. So, the need for the nutrition education should be understood before starting a nutrition education program. Then, apart from that, you have to understand even the target group over there. So target group is, you cannot just, for example, here I have given an example of diabetic patient. So I cannot go for a non-diabetic patient and educate him. Probably awareness is different, but when I want to prevent it and control it, then definitely I have to have a target group, and those target group should be confined. Probably it will be a either, I mean, if it is for a single cause, like in this case it is just the diabetes mellitus, so it is that the people who are patients who are with the diabetes mellitus, so will be my target group. So I have to identify the target group, and then I have to plan what should I give them. So how well I have to communicate with them, what is the actually I have to do, that is very important. And the next step is how I'm going to apply that. So application of whatever the strategies I have planned for that group, how I'm going to disseminate that to them, or how I'm going to present it to them, so that it will be more effective. They'll have the knowledge, they'll consider it as an attitude, and I mean, there is a change in their attitude, and ultimately my goal is they have to practice it. So that is how that is what is in the question mark. That is how I'm going to bring a total change, or what are the strategies I'm going to use for bringing about a total change. And after that, it is not just after once I finish with the education program, or once I've done disseminated whatever the knowledge that had to be given to them for preventing or controlling the situation over there. The next is, unless I know what is the I mean, complete situation over there, whether there has been a change or not, that is effectiveness of my disseminating the knowledge to the target group is very important. So that means the evaluation of the program, that is to know or to understand the effectiveness, is very important. So these are the strategies that I have to always bear in mind when I am planning a nutrition education program for a community. So then only we can reach the target, or the goal which we have kept. Now, I think in the previous episode, I have already spoken you about what are the factors. Just again to recall the concept, I'm just giving you the same thing. That is, the factors that influence or have impact on the food choice and dietary behavior are in four steps. That is, the first one is the biological determinant. So we are very much careful, or probably we are very much sensitive to many things, like it should be very tasty, or it should give, whatever that we are eating should give us pleasure, and all those things. That is basic sweet, I mean, tastes are there, like we have got sweet, sour, salt, and bitter taste. So how appetizing it is, whether I have a satisfaction after eating, that a satiety value mechanism is there. So all these things, and then my brain should be well, that is should feel happy also. So that is how we always choose a food, or the food choice, and my dietary behavior is there. So these are coming under the biological determinants and the behavioral predisposing factors. Now, apart from that, we do have certain components like experience with food. Probably I have been related with some psychological concepts. Maybe a particular food has been having an impact, like I might have experienced a negative experience while eating that particular food, or whatever it may be. It may be the place, and I was eating particular food. So that recall will be there, so that connectivity will be there. Once again, if I see to the same food, probably I may reject it. So my experience with that particular food is very important. Or for example, I may have some allergy with some particular food. So what is that? Then next I will try to remove that from the list of food that I purchase. So that is how my experience for that particular food will be there. So psychologically, conditions like familiarity or safety, or it can be the food conditional food preferences or conditioned satiety. I feel happy, I feel safe with that. So all those things will come. And then of course, apart from that, we have got the social conditioning also. Then apart from that, we have got personal related factors. So I think I have explained about this in the behavioral determinant itself, like the attitude, the belief, then the values which are there, then the skills, and then social norms like culture and those taboos, etc., which is being related to the food, is also very important. And apart from that, we have got the environmental factors, where even the time consumption for the preparation of that particular food, or the time which is availability is there, then resource, then the price also comes in the way. And then how attractive, how familiar I'll be, what is the way in which I have been introduced to that particular food. Like it can be through the advertisement or through the media, which shows me very colorful way, and I'll be exposed to that, and I'm attracted to that particular food. So those are all the environmental factors which try to influence my food choice and the dietary behavior. So based on or taking into consideration all these things, I have to plan the strategies. That is the role of nutrition education. Sometimes I might have to repair it, or probably I have to bring the individual out of it, like we have got taboos and beliefs, etc. So that I should give a reason why it is good or why it is bad, so that there is a positive effect on whatever the strategies I plan for the community. So that is very important. Now coming to the next thing is, like I would like to, before going to the next component, I would like to give one more example which is very important. Now we know that healthy growing during the first 1,000 days, that is spanning from conception to the age of 24 months, it represents a crucial period which influences the long term physical and cognitive development of the individuals. Now, the international public health recommendations and nutrition education interventions targeting early life focus on building individuals' capacity through variety of educational strategies, and accompanied by the environmental factor, will definitely lead to the adoption of good or positive behavior towards food choice and food behavior also. And probably also other nutrition related behaviors, like conducive, which are conducive to the health and well-beingness of the not only the expectant mother, that is during the whole pregnancy period, but also the parents who are taking care of the infants, and of course beyond that, infant in the early childhood and beyond that also. That means to say, if you take care, or if your attitude towards food choice changes towards positive food behavior, probably that will have an impact not only on your individual, that is that pregnant lady's mother's health, but also will have an impact on the infants, which will reflect on their future also. That is beyond the childhood, it reflects on their whole future life also. So this nutrition education intervention, that whole promises the promotion of healthy infant growth, or designed on the basis of the applicable of theory of health behaviors, and focus on multiple probably modified nutrition related behaviors. And they also address the values of various mediators also, like those who the barriers which come in the way of their behavioral change. So that is very important that we have to see. So that means to say, ultimately I can say eating practices and attitudes are learned behaviors and bear a complex interaction with both micro as well as macro environment of an individual, and every individual has their own experiences that may compound with the personality factors, ultimately leading to the development of a behavior. So that is how it is. So that is why nutrition education program, it is aiming for sustainable harmonious coexistence of quality of life and the quality of the environment. And nutrition education and promotion, it is a process by which people develop a holistic change or understanding of food and nutrition dynamics, which definitely ultimately leads to a healthy living. Now, there are certain points that you have to consider while you're taking to consideration the nutrition education to make it more effective. So, what are those? That is, focus on specific behaviors or practices than rather than merely disseminating general information. So, if I say yes, nutrition is good, then that, then this, yeah, and these are the nutrients and other things. If I give, instead of that, I try to identify the problems in that particular group or particular area, and then focus or my attention only on that and say how I can make it or bring them out of that situation. So that is very important. So focusing on a specific behavior or practice rather than disseminating many general information should be avoided, and identify and address influences on the behavior that have personal relevance to a particular group, as I said. And your design of the educational strategies should address to the potential mediators of behavior change based on theories, as I said, and research related to nutrition education or even behavior nutrition and the related areas, and to attend at multiple level of influences of food choice and eating behavior, and use of many ways to convey the messages for a known period of time, that is until they understand and your goal is being achieved, you can bring about a change. So these are the strategies you have to always focus on. So that is where this quality, that is the nutrition quality exists, quality of life, or the quality of the environment exists. Now this enables this QOL or QOE enables them to put the holistic perspective into a practice in their dietary life, and probably promote positive food and nutrition environment, maybe including partnership formation with other stakeholders also. Now, nutrition educators or the promoters or the persons who should be able to take this various challenges and then try to address the issues which are there. Now, that means to say, therefore, the nutrition education is a challenge that has to be taken, and nutrition education is an attempt to bring about a favorable change in the behaviors together with improving knowledge about the nutrition change, and it also brings about a change in the behavior towards the food also, or food choice also. Now, as I said, it deals with the people. Managing people is known to be very difficult task. That, you know, when there is community, I just gave an example in my previous episode of my own experience. So we had some areas wherein we used to go to Anganwadi centers. They were so much aware of whatever that is being done or is going on. If I just give an example over there, children were made to, I used to take blood, and the lancets were kept in the used lancets were kept in a bowl outside. At the side, and they were aware that this lancet should not be used again. So it should not be reused. So thinking that slowly, when I was just diverting, or when I was just focusing on some other work, the children used to take that bowl and throw it to the gutter nearby, and then bring back the empty bowl and keep it next to me. That means to say they are aware, but they knew about it, and they were cooperating with me with a positive attitude. So that is uh, how I gave a positive attitude towards what I was doing. As well as in the previous I said episode, I said a negative attitude which changed after they were familiar. So those difficulties will always be there. And now it involves with the food and eating behavior, which are dearest to every individual, because it holds a strong emotional link, as I said. And food is the main thing which goes right from the heart to the stomach. So that is very important. And nutrition education is effective only when a scientific information about nutrition is merged with appropriate teaching method. That means to say, they ask for probably how you can say prove it, they say, or we have to give some proof to what is not proper, why I'm telling that, and why that change should be required. Probably just giving an example is, again, if I say that nutrients, that is especially B complex vitamins, is very important, and thiamine or niacin or riboflavin, whatever it is, if I say it is very important, and they ask me why it is important, probably if I have got some aid, like maybe I show some pictures about chlosis or angular stomatitis caused by riboflavin deficiency. So those things have more impact on them. So there is an evidence to tell that this is because of this. So that is why I'm emphasizing on your consumption of B complex to in a more amount or so. That is what I have to give the education to them. So in that manner, I have to show them some proof or give them some scientific reasons. Probably that combined with my strategy will strengthen my the whole goal which is there for nutrition education. So that is very important. So therefore, nutrition education is an attempt to bring about a favorable changes in the behavior together with improving knowledge and the towards the nutrition science. Now, therefore, each of these components has to be dealt as a serious issue affecting the purpose of nutrition education and conducting nutrition education program to the people or a community, and requires a detailed knowledge about the demographic profile, it can be, or the food behavior or the environmental factors associated with it, with the food availability, as I said, cultural factor, or probably even related to food and nutrition activities also, and even of course knowledge, attitude, and practice related to food, that their interest about learning knowledge also is very important. Now, this also is a clear understanding that needed about the methods to address the issues. So it is not just I go and I just talk to them. It may be there only for few, short period of time, whatever I have disseminated, but it will not be very clear. That means to say the strategy should be done in such a way that it will have its impact, and it is not just I'm giving a knowledge. I make that it becomes an attitude, that is there is a change in their from there towards their positive attitude towards that particular issue, and they try to practice it in their life also, which should continue for a longer period of time, and that should be my strategy. So in order to organize a systematically a complete program for nutrition education and to expect encouraging outcomes, there are several theories and modules that has been developed here. So that is how the theories and modules came, and I just gave one example of theories and modules. That is, I gave an example of how the first 1,000 days program has been taken into consideration for enhancing the life quality or the health of the not only the pregnant women but also the infants, which will have its impact to in the later on stage also. So information delivery should be knowing and telling, that is bridge between the behavior and the change, and educational theories, that concept and understanding comprehension, relation of knowledge and action, and application of nutrition education. And of course, this is very important, that is behavioral change is very ultimately necessary when you are planning. Now, as I said, there are many models and theories, depending upon the situation we have taken into consideration. I would just like to give some of the models and theories that have been used. Now, before going into those details, we should know what actually is theories, or what is the models that has been used. Now, theory means it provides a skeleton to us. That means to say, provides a mental map linking the concepts that has been referred to construct together to explain the food choice and nutrition related behaviors, and how they can be changed. That is, a matrix will be given to you, a skeleton will be formed, so that that can be taken into consideration, and you can develop on that. That is, elaboration in the next stages or next step will be taken into consideration, and then ultimately it will be a blowed, and then it will be disseminated. That is how it is. So this is the theory which we have got. Now, social psychologists describe theory as an abstract or symbolic representation of what is concerned to the reality. That is, a set of abstract or statements or concepts designed to fit some portion of the real world. So that is how the theory has been defined. Now, I'll just give here, I would like to just give one more example of the modules and theories of nutrition education. Now, you know that calcium consumption, especially the dairy product consumption, is very low among adolescent, and they feel that they are too grown up to consume milk every day or so. And it has demonstrated benefits, you know, that for the bone growth and overall nutritional status and the health throughout the life also. Now, there is also an emerging relationship between the prevention of obesity also. Now, this low consumption has been attributed to both sometimes the culture and the community or the environmental barriers also. Now, using a life course construct and an ecological method or module, or the model of health behavior, nutrition education, and food consumption behavior at this stage probably can have an influence on the health status at that stage, as well as influence the later on stage also for towards the consumption of calcium, or probably the source of calcium, that is dietary products in the subsequent stages also. Now, the life course construct recognizes both the past as well as the present behavior and experiences, and they are shaped by the wider social as well as economic and cultural context, and therefore may provide clues to current pattern of health and disease also. Now, this ecological model concerned with the constructs of environmental change, behavior, and policies that may help people make choice in their life. Probably, if you have seen in the TV also, we have got television where ads are given with regard to the milk consumption. They say that there is no age barrier at all, and how important it is for every age. So every day you need to consume milk and its product, whether it is cheese or whatever it is. So it has been given. So that is one strategy in which you're going to bring about a change, a behavioral change towards the consumption of the calcium through the dairy products. So that is the approach which we have got. So that means to say, these models which are there complements the life course approach when examining the potential influence of nutrition education provided to them. towards this. And they say that the critical period model, it has been referred to as critical period model within the life course construction in operative for especially this particular micronutrient consumption, that is calcium. In this regard, I would like to give my experience also, like your previous senior, super senior, one of the super senior, he found that for his dissertation, he took up the hypocalcemia as a subject, and he found that pre-university children, that is adolescent, both boys and girls, were suffering from hypocalcemia. Now, that means to say the calcium content was very much low in them, and when we analyzed their food intake, it was very surprising that their consumption of calcium was very low, either through the day dairy products, that is milk and milk products, or even through the other cereals and cereal products, especially calcium, which is rich in which is come from cereals, millets, that is ragi, was not at all consumed by them. Probably the effect was here by the peer group, that is even though they were from rural background, they considered that eating ragi was not to them, that is, it was below the thing, because they had a peer group influence over there. So that is how it they ended up in hypocalcemia, that is low calcium levels were there. So this I just gave an example here. So that is why we will have, for that particular period, that is for that particular age group, we can have a module for them. So the critical period model can be created just for calcium consumption, a nutrient which adequate intake is very critical and important during adolescent, when peak bone density development and is there, and necessary for later protection against maybe or osteoporosis, which is very important. So that is why we say, I mean, such type of modules should be created as a strategy in the nutrition education program. Now, the nutrition education, as I said, importance is that it increases awareness of the roles and functions of food, and then the food system in today's society, and promotes active contemplation and active decision making, and facility to the ability to engage in the food and nutrition choice, or food choice, and as well as food behavior. I have just given one more theory based on nutrition education, a logic module which is there, wherein input is there, then output is also there based on the theory. I mean, the theory based on theory intervention. So motivational and activity mediators which are there, and finally, what is the outcome of it is also been described in this framework of theory-based nutrition education. That means to say, we have got both the strategy is, I'm going to talk to the target group, and then discuss about the problem, then try to change their behavior towards the food choice, and then the nutrients also. Now, coming to the theories, and I mean next component, that is theories and modules, can be grouped under three aspects, as I said: those that increase awareness and enhancing motivation, and those facilitating our ability to take action. That is, here you have creating knowledge, and here you're going to have a positive attitude towards them, and those that promote environmental support for action. That means to say, for a long term, their practice which is there is very important. So knowledge, aptitude, and practice is the base of any theories or models which I am going to plan or inculcate in my strategy of the nutrition education program. Now, coming to the next concept, to increase awareness of enhancing motivation, there are certain models also, or certain ways in which it is being approached. So they are like health belief models are there, then behavioral focused approaches are there, theory of planned behavior is there, and cognitive behavioral theory and therapies are there. So we'll just discuss about these modules and the theories also. Now, we know a wide variety, widely more accepted definition in the social sciences that theory is a set of interrelated construct, that is concepts that presents a systematic view of the way in which you have to eat by specifying the relation among the constructs, that is the concepts, and the purpose of explaining and predicting these phenomena. So what I'm doing, that is bringing about a change, that is I'm giving the knowledge, then I expect that it should be an attitude towards the food, positive attitude should be there, and then they have to practice it. So that is what it means, that is to construct the present systematic view of eating phenomena, then giving something that is purpose of explaining and predicting these phenomena. Now, theory in the area of behavioral nutrition and the physical activity has been described more simply as a generalized and probably a carefully interpreted and systematic summary of empirical evidence. That is very important. Hence, these theories helps us to understand how a concept can be identified for delivery and methods to deliver, and strengthen the concepts among the recipients also. They are the stakeholders and they are the consumers. They have to accept our whatever we have got disseminating with them or to them. So that is very important. Unless they don't accept, the theories and whatever we have considering will not be useful. So that is how it is very important. So that means to say the available theories or the models which are there, or the theoretical framework is there, these are often used to describe similar ideas, and models and the conceptual models usually describe relationship between two or more construct, that is concepts, and focusing on how they relate with each other also. Now, the theory is often used to describe a clearly set of relationship between the concepts, such as maybe probably the beliefs and the emotions, to explain behavior or behavioral change also. And these theoretical framework refers to a description of the set of these concepts in relation to one another. Sometimes there will be overlapping also, so that will not be, I mean, that can be understood. And now, what is the importance of these behaviors, I mean the theories and the cons models which we have got, or the concept which we have got? So it is nothing but the care should be taken to understand these theories, and otherwise it cannot be applied at all. So theories based activities can increase awareness of the roles and functions of foods and the food system in today's society, and probably promote active contemplation also, or to take active decision making, and facilitate the ability to engage the voluntarily chosen change. They will have changed now, so those changes should be practiced or continued for a longer period of time, and these theories will help them in such decisions they are taking. So that is very important. Now, I think I spoke about even the knowledge, aptitude, and practice theory is very important. Now, this was early developed, and it is oldest also. Now, this knowledge, aptitude, and behavioral change theory which is there suggests that the way to influence behavior was to provide people with the knowledge about how their behavior influence their health, which would be positive influence, and their attitude towards the behavior, and eventually lead to the desired change in the behavior. So that is where this knowledge, attitude, behavior theory plays an important role. Now, as I told, these theories and models are developed, can be grouped under three aspects, that is those that increase awareness and enhancing motivation, and those facilitating ability to take action, and those that promote environmental support for action also. Now, if you just take into consideration the first one, like how it increases awareness and enhances the motivation. This focuses on facilitating knowledge about the aspects of healthy eating and wrong practices. So culture provides rules for practices, including food and eating process also, and hence understanding the cultures and identifying what is wrong in that is the first step of the in the process of this nutrition education program. So, however, cultural practice occupy an important status in the individual's life. To bring change needs careful planning over there, and efforts should be made by the facilitator to not to offend the people, but to bring about a positive change in them. So one example I just gave you about how papaya was not used for consumption during pregnancy period. You can just give them how it can be considered or consumed. Well, it should not be the raw, it should be ripe, and instant, ripe also. How much should be consumed per week, once in a week or twice a week? You can just go for it. Or probably, as I gave one more example about wheat consumption, that is especially chapatis was not consumed when there is person who's in the family, when there is person who is conceived, that is a pregnant lady is there. So thinking in a whatever the beliefs and they had in them, and sometimes culture also, as I said, can have its impact. So that you cannot immediately bring about a change, but the change should be brought to them without their knowledge, and that means to say without offending their feelings. You have to bring about a change by giving some evidences to bring a change or some to them. So that is very important. So those unaware of importance of specific food related actions that could have protected to their health or protective to their health, or action to be taken, and those with weak intentions, whom we stimulate or re-examine their intentions and assist to develop a strong intention should be there. Now, the health models which I was talking about was this modules give a framework for understanding the individuals. Probably it can be referred to as psychological readiness or intention to give or take given health actions. And it was one of the earliest conceptual model to address health behavior, especially in the public health, that is in the field of public health itself. And this model focuses attention on modified factors influencing the behavior. So that is one important model just wanted to tell about. And this model includes construction, that is concepts that is related to the health action, primarily that is perceived the threat or the risk of condition. For example, as I gave an example of calcium deficiency, that is may lead to osteoporosis and lack of food safety, etc. Or it can be the perceived benefits and the barriers. That means to say how how the preventive action is available by consuming. As I give an example again, I'll take the same example of calcium deficiency, wherein you can consume certain foods that are rich in calcium and try to prevent that osteoporosis that can occur in future stages. That is one thing. And self efficacy is very important. That means this increases the effectiveness of nutrition education by modulating long-term behaviors, such as the dietary behavior itself. That means self-efficacy is the confidence that is gained to perform the behavior. That is, I said, you consume this, definitely you have got a positive effect. That means that individual will try to analyze it and then you to adopt it. So that self-efficacy should be there. And clues to action is very important. That is, external events such as illness of a friend or family members, or a new story on a scientific study, about the issue, like as I gave I mean, as you can tell that how calcium consumption in a person or in a community can had brought about a positive change. Such things, if you just relate it, probably that will also enhance the nutrition education strategies. And the whatever the model that you have used postulates the demographic postulates such as the age, sex, and the authenticity, indirectly influencing the behavior through their impact on the perceived threat or the perceived benefits also. Now, apart from that, we have got the behavior focused approach also are there, wherein food choice or observable behavior related to health suggests that I should eat something low, or I should eat more, or the person individual should consume in a lesser quantity, like we have got low fat diet, low calorie diet, or even breaking breakfast, how to break in the morning, that is what should be included in the breakfast, etc. So that is also behavioral modules which you have got, and behaviors and practice towards food safety, that is right from the pre-preparation to the complete preparation also. That is how you manage with that. Maybe the foods related cirrhosis, etc., should also be taken into consideration. And specific physical activities along with food consumption is also very important. So maybe like walking, running, any activity can be taken into consideration. So the behaviors to be addressed are identified from the needs and the perception and the desire of the intended audience itself, that is the stakeholders itself. That is very important. So that is how a nutrition educator should use the theories and research and evidences to guide for their as a guidance to have it. Now we have got cognitive theories also over there. So cognitive, that is social cognitive theory is there, wherein social cognitive theory focuses to understand the human thought, motivation, and action in general for designing the nutrition education and health promotion program, because it provides a uniform conceptual framework to understand the behavior of the stakeholder and to describe what should be given to them as an action for them. Now, apart from that, as I just gave an example of how you can go about with the social cognitive theory, that includes the behavior, wherein we have got the environmental factor, personal factors is there, and the behavioral factors also are there. So these three put together, definitely you can bring about a change in the individual or the stakeholders. Next is we have got the promoting environmental supports for action, that is environmental condition. It is not just the outside environment we have got, the environment means which surrounds us, which includes not only the individuals which through along with whom we are there, it is the environment among us, it is also the food availability which is there, then the economic condition and the sociological psychological quality also. So these things are comprised, I mean, comes under the environmental condition, and it will have its impact on the individual. So it can be, as I said, you can bring about a change with this, that is health community design, building a partnership and with the environmental health system and the natural health condition, you can bring about a positive change or attitude in the individual or the stakeholders. So next is trans theoretical model in nutrition counseling. Now, it is a concept which is there, that is, you are going to change completely the concept in the individual, that is, the attitudes and their behavior also. So, the model is a tailor made model which will give us how to prepare, then how to bring about action, and how you are going to maintain that. So, all the three, that is, knowledge, aptitude, and practice, will be completely seen in this trans theoretical model nutrition counseling also. So it is not just one aspect, it is the change in stage wise manner which you are going to have it, that is, you are going to bring about change in the stage wise manner, then process it, and then have a outcome of it. So that is how it has been done, or the nutrition education goals will be achieved. So as I said, the stages of trans theoretical model, we have got the change. We in the initial stage we cannot think about any change, positive change or whatever it is. There may be non-cooperation, they may not accept it, they may not understand. So I gave a beautiful example of how I was rejected there in a particular area. So once they think that yes, something is there, so then the changes can be done necessarily. For that change, what is the things that I can do, implement it. So that is my preparation, and immediately have to implement those preparations or ideas, so that it brings about a change, and change becomes a part of the routine. That means it is not just attitude, it should be practice also. So practice should continue for a longer period, I mean for a forever. That is what is important for us. And relapse, that is considering difficulties involved because of change. Sometimes this we have seen here, relapses again coming back. I just happened to go to some naturopathy clinics also, and as I was just talking with the people over there, they said yes, we have come for the second time. I asked them, the patients, I asked them, why do you want to come for the second time? Because you have already had a good counseling, or the process which was there was very well organized by the organizers over there. But they said once after completing that course of naturopathy, I mean the patients, whether it is for obesity or whatever it is, once they go out of that environment, probably they come back to again the same lifestyle what they had previously. And that became that was one of the drawback, or probably the lapse with the stakeholders also. So again they came back to the naturopathy for many LMTs also. So that relapse should not be there. That is, they should not come back to the same position, the, I mean the beginning position what was there. Instead they have to move. So that is where it is not just the knowledge change, or it is not just the positive attitude which is there. Even the practice which is there should continue for a longer period of time. I mean it should be there forever. That is what it means. Now, then the process involved, so this is very important for us. How well we are going to organize the things is very important for us. So it is not just promoting, considering all these modules, or all these theories, adopting all these theories. The process is very important. And in the first step, what we are going to do is a food and nutrition related need to issue, or issue of concern is considered serious and prevalent enough to just justify the expenditure of time or resources also. So we need to assess them. So that means to say, in this first step, assessment is necessary, and issues and audience for whom these needs or issues are relevant is very important. That means to say, you are going to identify the target group. That is very important. Identify the behaviors of concern that contribute to the identified needs and the or the problems that are there. Select the core behavior or the practices as the focus of the session or the program. And the next step is we have to identify the behaviors and practice that contribute to the need, problem, or the issues which are there, and prioritize them. For that means to say, those things should be highlighted. It is not just in a holistic manner, it should be highlighted in a proper way, so that you can focus on those selected major problems, or the negativeness which is there, negative practices which may be there, and try to address those. That is, we call it as the core behavior, or the target behavior, or probably the target or the core practices which is there. If I just give an example of one thing, when we just go to the rural area, of course now it is coming towards the positiveness, especially with the breastfeeding, then safe food handling, or even eating more of fruits and vegetables. As I said, breastfeeding, especially the colostrum, was thought to be like not a good feed for the food for the infants or the newborns. So it was not consumed at all. They said that they used to remove it. They used to remove it and then throw it. And the children, the newborn babies were fed eventually with only the sugar and water. So, and the whole cholesterol was wasted. So this negative attitude which they had, or the practice which they were, it was there, that was the target or the core problem, and maybe the core behavior that has to be addressed. So like that, you have to pinpoint, you have to take in holistically, I mean, on a larger branch, you have to take best practices, breastfeeding for practices you can take. In that, you can focus on the colostrum feeding itself, and then come to the next point. So that is very important. So priority should be given to that core problem which has been there. So identifying that is very important, and identifying the potential personal psychological mediators or the program target group also is very important. And of course, the environmental factors is also important. Now, the third step is we need to clarify the theory to be used. That is the educational philosophy that is there, that will help the or guide the people over there in the two, that is the target group which who is there. So select a theory or create a relevant theoretical module, and then go about with the program. And in the fourth step, we have to state appropriate the educational objectives. It is not just I'm coming, I have to say, I have come here to improve your nutritional status, or to bring about a change in your nutritional status towards the positive health. That is very much clear about my objective. Now, then the next step is I have to select theory-based strategies and the practical learning experience for each mediator. That is, I have to design the educational strategies or the practical learning experience that match the behavioral theory constructs, is at the heart of the effective nutrition education. That means to say, I should consider the evidences, show them photographs, then probably pictures or even the movies or whatever it is. That means to say, it should not be only theoretically. I have to do it by practice also. I have to show, that is, they should learn through their practice only. That will be my fifth step. And the last step is, as I said, evaluation of my program is very important. So finally, we design the theory based evaluation, that is, what is the outcome and what is the process of evaluation. That is, whatever I have designed right from the beginning, from selecting the target group up to the strategies, whatever I have done, so those things should also be analyzed properly. So that is how it is very important. So need assessment, which target area, identify the behavior and practice, need to clarify the theory of to be used and educational philosophy, appropriate educational objectives, and then theory based strategies. So that, and ultimately the design as well as the strategy should be evaluated through, for that is, through their results what we have got it, that is how it has been effective or bringing about a positive change in them. Now, action phase nutrition education is mobilizing social support and community participation. This is very important. See, when we just talk about the rural, even in some urban areas also, there are certain concepts which we have to take into consideration. That means to say, we have certain obligations or probably certain rules and regulations within the family itself. So the decision maker who will make a decision or policies in what should be consumed and what not should be consumed, all those things will be done either by the head of the family or probably the aged person in the family. Now, to bring about a change is not educating the younger people, is it is along with the younger people of the family, even the decision maker also should be educated. That means to say, the community should also have to have a positive effect, will have a positive effect in bringing about the change. One example I can give is, like, if I just take the ICDS program itself, in some areas I found it very, I mean, encouraging, wherein community participation was more positive towards bringing about a change in their community or in their area. That is, they used to provide help to the Anganwadi worker if there is any delay in the supply of the ingredients to prepare the lunch. I mean, whatever it maybe the energy food or anything like that. And sometimes, along with the energy food, if there is any changes necessary, if it is monotonous, also children may not accept it. So to have a change, they used to contribute. So like rice, vegetables, etc., to the Anganwadi, so that the children will consume. I mean, they prepare and children will consume in variety. So such type of positive community participation will also mobilize. So I mean, the effort given done through the nutrition education. So mobilizing social support, that is the community over there, or maybe some NGOs which are there, or the community participation is very important. And strengthening those community action and participation is also very important. It is not just community participated, the action they take into consideration, I mean, to bring about these changes is very important. Now, selection of the communication mode is very important. So it is when I just call the people, and they are busy in the morning because they have to go for work, many of them in the, especially I'm taking the rural area, where they will be preparing themselves to go to the fields. So I cannot disturb their routine. I have to think about how they, I mean, what time I should communicate with them, or what time I should have my sessions. Then if it is in the evening, it is their relaxing period also, or relaxing time. Now how can I utilize that so that I can make them that feel that it is not just theoretically I'm giving them or lecturing them, or make imposing on them. They should enjoy that also. So the mode of communication is very important, and using media, that is mass media, as a central piece of multi-channel is also important, so that it will be just a concept which we have got for children. Learning while you play, that concept should be there. That means when you're in, you should enjoy that what you're learning also, and it can be done through various modes of communication that you're going to adopt in any education strategy, I mean, nutrition education program. Now, coming to the next concept is the way in which, as I said, evaluation of nutrition education program is very important. That is formulative research, process of implementation, and studies and outcome assessment. As I said, here are the three things that you have to bear in mind when you're formulating any education program. And this is how we have to have the long-term outcome. It is not just short-term, as I told you. It should be long-term. It should not be just for that period of time, and once I come out of that area, it should not be as they come back to the same position the first day which was there. It should not be like that. It should be always for a long term outcome should be there. Whatever I do, it should be for long term. It should stay for a longer period of time. That is what is the intention of any nutrition education program. Now, as I said, the three things that modification is necessary: behavior, environment, and personal factors. You have to bring about a change, and through the education program, that is nutrition education program, which has got a positive effect on food choice, etc. Now, I was talking about the teaching aid, that is communication mode is also playing an important role in the nutrition education strategies, which I'm going to use. So, wherein, as I said, there are many ways in which we have got. So, those things should be very attractive, and probably, as I said, I feel that you people would like to have even PPT when I give lecture. Why? Because it will have a long term outcome. That means it will stay for a longer period of time. Those pictures or those slides which are there stays for a longer period of time in your mind. And the long term lecturing, just lecturing, may sometimes you may forget some important points, but that will not be there. It gives us the slides or pictures can stay for a longer period of time, and that is the intention of the communication mode which we are going to use. So that is very important. Now, coming to the different types of teaching modes or the teaching aids which are there, let us have the teaching aids. As I told you, we remember 20% of what we hear, we remember 30% of what we see, we remember 50% of what we see as well as hear, and we remember 90% of what we say and do. That is practice. So knowledge, aptitude, and practice. I hear, I forget, I see, I remember, I do, and I understand. Now, coming to the different aids which we have got. So again, as I said, passive learning and active learning are there, wherein people try to remember the activities also. And along with that, you have that is listening to my lecture with the aid that you are seeing. So that is very important. Now, there are, as I said, many methods are there to educate the community. So we have got lectures and demonstration, workshops are there, films and slideshows are there, posters and charts and exhibitions are there, books and pamphlets, bulletins and newspaper, radio and television, and now the latest is the mobile apps which are there, are also playing an important role in communicating and educating the people, whether it is towards the nutrition and health also. So positive nutrition and health also. So let us start with the things. Now, in fact, the teaching aid has been categorized as audio aids and only, then video aids, and both audio and visual aids which are there. So these have their implications, wherein in audio you're going to just hear, that is lecture. Visual aids, only just see the slides, or probably you see the pictures or whatever it is. Both are audio and visual aids can be, that is both audio hearing as well as seeing. That is more important for us. So that will be a relaxation also for the community when you are asking the community to sit in odd hours, or probably to sit to make them sit and understand what we are telling, try to make them understand. Probably these aids are very important. So I have got projected and non-projected aids which are there. So I have bifurcated it. That is the classification which we have got. This is a module that has been classified, classifying the different visual aids, audio visual aids. Now, why it is very important and how it has to be done. So clarity, attention, and interest should be there. That is, you just cannot show the slides and just move it. It should be more attractive, especially when you're talking about the community. They always feel something attractive should be there. Probably just give an example, a simplest example, why advertisements always involve a celebrity in them. We are more attracted to them and we believe in them. So that is why the celebrities are usually used for the advertisement. Why? Because they have got more probably their I mean, the impression on us is more, having more impact on us rather than anything else. So what they use, following their attitude or following their practice is very important for us as a commoner. So that is why the celebrities are used in the any advertisements that is there. So you have to, I mean, I just gave an example. So attention and interest and best motivators, use maximum senses, saving time and effort, all these things are very important to for use the mode in which you're going to emphasize also. So that is the mode of the communication which is there. So of course, principal selective is selection is educational value, then realization of objectives, all those things are, which should be very simple. It should not be very this thing, that is it should have where the words that is being utilized should be very simple. It should not be technical words, more of technical words should not be given. So all those things you have to bear in mind while you are putting the words on the mode of or media of communication also. Now, apart, let us come to the different types of modes. Now I have started with the types of charts which are there. You can see there are different ways in which you can communicate. We have got the pictures, then time chart, then table chart, etc., etc. So these will give a highlight, a bird's eye view of what you're going to explain. So bird's eye view is, this is the picture chart we have got. This is the pie graph which is there, that is pie chart, what we call it as. So half of it, that is the circle, will be divided. Then this is the time chart. So this has got its own impact. Just seeing it is very attractive, and you feel to focus on it for few seconds at least, to see what it is and to understand what is there, and it will be related to something else. So that is how it creates an interest, the way in which it is being done. It is just the visual aids which you have got. This is the chart which is there. This can be that is flow chart which we have got. Then this is next is the tree chart which is there. Yeah, this is the table chart which is there. This is graphical representation which we have got. Then yeah, so these are the different types of charts which are there. Now these charts will help us in to create an impact on the stakeholders or the um, people. I mean, a chart is usually useful way to present or display the information, or even instructions, especially in the community education situation, which can it can range when different this thing are there. It's, sizes will be there. It can be bigger, and it can be on the wall chart. It can be a wall chart also, or a piece of paper also. And a chart is a visual symbol summarizing, just gives a bird's eye view of whatever that has to be explained for. And along with the charts, we have got posters also. Posters should be very simple and should immediately catch the attention of the people. All the whole things should not be given. So in posters, highlight what is important with some pictures or diagrams that will be more impressive than just theoretical or verbal contents in the posters or even in the charts also. The letters should be very clear and easily visible to them in at a distance also, and the chart should be well balanced with use of appropriate colors, and then should not be very jumbled up or crowded also. Now coming to the flashcards, we have got flashcards which are used for drilling new letters, words, or any other information. And these flashcards is a part of a set of cards. That's all. They just remove it, and where you just flash it for a known period of time, and then the child, or the learners will quickly respond to it. That is, it is just open and just remove it, just open the next one and then remove it. So whoever the stakeholders are there, they'll just try to identify those things, and that is how it is being done. Now coming to the next type, I think I have got one more. This is they have done as a modules itself, that is paper modules in the form of a flashcard itself. Now, Flipkart, it is just like a calendar. One after the other, you're going to show it. So in this Flipkart, the best part is the first cover sheet will be just one part of what you want to focus it. Probably I want to draw an animal. So when I want to draw an animal, it will be just a skeleton. That is, maybe the only the face, a round or a oval will be drawn. In the next sheet, it will be along with the oval of the head. Another big oval will be there of the body. Okay, and in the next flip, that is next page, when you just turn over, then we start defining the inner way parts and the outer parts also. So one after the other, in each pages, when you flip it or when you turn it out, it will be containing the first page. From the first page to the last page, it will have, and there will be additional of the other parts also. So ultimately in the end it will be in total, that is complete picture will be there. So that is how flip charts are very good in use. These flip charts are useful in teaching situations where you need to teach a number of people at a time, and they are used when books are not available and they are scarce and slides are not available. And these flip charts is a collection of large pages with a binding, which are bounded together. As I said, it just one after the other you are going to flip it. Now the next type is the flannel chart. I think one more this thing is there, or flip chart. So here also flip charts, you're going to just remove it, just like your table timetables are there, or even the calendars on the table is they just remove one after the other after each month, or that is how it has been done, or after each day. So that is the flip chart, this thing. Then flannel board is nothing but pasting something on the board. So you're going to highlight the situation, or even some pictures on it, and then highlight the program or the whatever the news that is there. So we use the flannel board over there. Next is you have got the models. Models are very different ways. Models are there. We have got plastic models, we have got cardboard models, clay models are there, and now we have got models where even the physiology organs can also be displayed with working, like a 3D effect can be given on the models also. So these models are playing an important role in enhancing the knowledge, and helps to have birds, not only the bird's eye view, to catch more effective also. They are replicas of the real one, maybe not by size or whatever it is. It is a simplified and scale working three-way things which it can be. So that is how it is very impressive to the stakeholders, or the to the receivers over there. I think graphs are there, which gives us different types of graphs are there. This is the pie chart which is there, which gives us a bird's eye view when we say this percentage of people are suffering from so much of all those things. So it gives a bird's eye view. That's it. Okay. Next is we have got cartoons which are more attractive and more impressive also, wherein the whole whatever the information that has to be given, it can be given through the creation of cartoons, and then stories, and then probably conversation between the two characters, and other things can be done, and it can be given to the it can be exhibited in front of the group or the community, which makes them more impressive also. And apart from that, we have got puppets, which are playing a very important role in the community, where whatever I want to communicate, that will be created in the form of dramatization, and the dramatization will be done through the puppets which is there. And these puppets will be handled by the person, the way it has been dramatized, and it will be showed as a drama itself. And of course, now we have got, apart from puppets, we have got dramatization, that is road drama stages and other things are there, wherein people create awareness, maybe for example for AIDS or HIV, etc. We are creating, and people are there who will voluntarily dramatize and tell the or create awareness to the community by enacting different characteristics also. So that is how it has been done. Now apart from that, we have got the important one is now we have got the mobiles also, which are gaining importance over there. And these mobiles and internets also have are playing an important role in communication, or in communicating what or disseminating the education programs, or making it more effective by the in the form of movies, short movies, etc. That also creates very important, I mean, very powerful impact on the people or the community over there. So these are the different ways in which you can uh, have the modes of communication. And this completes nutrition education program. And I'll just summarize whatever I have done. We have got theories of and different models that has been created for bringing about a complete positive change in the nutrition education program. That is the goals that has to be achieved, or the objectives to be achieved, requires these theories and models depending upon the situation, to bring about a change for a long term rather than the short term. And here this nutrition education should be should have the target group, and then try to isolate the important concept in it, that is the pro issues, and then try to focus on those issues rather than a larger concept, and then, or a general concept, instead of focusing just for that particular important issues. It should not be the generalized one. So, and try to formulate a module or theoretical models for it, for that particular problem, and focus on it to bring about the positive change. Now here communication plays an important role. The way you disseminate the education program through different ways is very important, and how you make it more creative and more interesting is very important when you go for a community, so that it will have a impact and stays for a longer period of time. And to end with, I would say knowledge, it is not just the knowledge, you're going to change the attitude towards a positive attitude, and bring about a complete change by practicing whatever that has been is disseminated for a longer period of time. It is not a short term strategy, it should be a long term continuous strategy, and that is the main goal of any nutrition education program. Thank you, students, for your patience listening. I'll just unmute now. Please see that you will also unmute your microphone, so that you can ask any questions that are there, or any doubts that are there. Hello. Yes, Parsha.
No, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. It was nice class, ma'am.
Okay, thank you so much, Parsha. I have finished the whole block, that is nutrition education. The fourth block, which is there in food and nutrition service in hospitals, I have taken up the fourth block and I have completed it. Yeah, any other? Hello.
Again,
Shall I
class
end
will be
up?
there, ma'am.
Sparsha, as far as my knowledge goes, whatever the timetable which was given, and the topics which were
Yeah, ma'am.
allotted for that, say, I mean, that particular period, I think we have completed,
Yeah, ma'am.
isn't it? I have completed.
Yes, ma'am.
So other things definitely we will be doing it, and then Dr. Hemlata will put a new timetable, hopefully, and shortly, and we'll continue with the classes like this only. Okay.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. And any doubts are there, definitely you can call me, or you can write to me also. That is not at all a problem. Okay.
Ma'am, again for practicals in hospital, we'll be having PCP, ma'am.
Practicals, we have to conduct the practicals. For that, we will be arranging it. Probably before your exams, we'll be arranging it for a short period of time. And instead of, the whole 18 days will not be there. So instead of that, we'll have a short period, and then we have not yet discussed about it. And then we'll put you in the hospitals if possible, or probably in your vicinity itself, if there are any dietitians, we may ask you to work under them also. We have not yet planned with that. Definitely we'll work it out for you people.
Okay,
And
ma'am.
then
Thank
you'll
you,
have,
ma'am.
definitely you'll have practical exams. When you come for the theory paper, the next will be the practical exams.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah.
I think it will not be as soon.
Not so soon.
Okay.
You know the situation, and
Yeah, ma'am.
yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. Bye, ma'am.
Okay, welcome. Bye. I think all others, hopefully they don't have any issues, and they are very clear with whatever I have given. I mean, supplements I've given, along with definitely you have to go through the theory part that has been given in your SLM. So this is supplements or supportive things that have given you. So definitely you can have this added uh, supplement to the theory books. I mean, theory whatever you have got, and you can read the SLM also. So I think I'll end the meeting with this. Thank you, students, once again, and thank you for your patience listening.